How to calculate angles. A on a straight line and B at a point. So first of all, we're going to look at angles on a straight line. So a key fact is that angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. And these are called supplementary angles when they add up to 180 degrees. One very important thing is when you read a question, if it says calculate or work out, that means you need to do the maths. If it says measure, that means you need to probably use a protractor to work out the angle by measuring it. So this is about calculating angles. So let's have a look at the first one. So we've got a straight line here, and we know the total is 180 degrees, and we know that this angle is 55. So to work out A, all this is us saying is 55 add something equals 180. So therefore all we need to do is 180 subtract 55. So A is 125 degrees. Let's look at the next one. Next one's a little bit more complicated because we've got two angles here and we've got B. So the first thing we need to do before we can work out what B is we need to add these two angles up. So we're going to do 45 add 72. Because if you think about it, the total, just draw a little bar here to show you, we know the total is 180. And we want to work out what B is. Let's just say B's there. And we know, first of all, we're going to need to add these two parts here, the 45 and the 72 together before we can work out what B is. So we're going to do 45 add 72. That's 117. So we now know we've got 180 as the total. And we've got 117. So B is this missing amount here. So it's take away, it's subtract. So now we do 180, subtract 117. Be careful with your subtraction because it's got 0, take away 7 you can't do. So B equals 63 degrees. Let's have a look at a slightly more difficult one. So here we've got our straight line. Been drawn at a different angle but still a straight line, and we've got a right angle here, and then we've got C. We've got three C's. So the first thing we need to do is subtract this right angle. So we do 180 subtract 90, which is 90 degrees. So we know that 3 times C equals 90. So what we now need to do is the inverse operation. So we do 90 divided by 3 because we've got 3 C's and they're equal, they're the same size. 90 divided by 3 is 30 degrees. So C equals 30 degrees. Right, now let's have a look at angles at a point. Key fact is angles at a point add up to 360. So let's look at a nice, easy, straightforward one. We've got 65 here and we want to work out what this large reflex angle is. So we know the total here is 360, so we just do 360 subtract 65. So D equals 295 degrees. Let's look at a more challenging one. So we've got our circle here, our angles around a point, and we've got a right angle, so that's going to be 90, and we've got 145, and we need to work out what angle E is. So the first thing I do is I add together 145 and the right angle, which is 90, 235, and then I subtract 360. I do 360 subtract 235 to work out what E is. Again, be careful with your subtraction. 125, so E equals 125. Finally, let's have a look at a slightly different one again. So we've got our angle around a point, or at a point, and we've got F, and we haven't got any numbers, but we can still work it out because we know we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 F's, and they're all worth the same amount because they're all letter F. They're all worth the same. So all we need to do is think about this and say, well, 8 times F equals 360. So we're going to do the inverse. 360 divided by 8 will tell us what F is. And we'll just do a bus stop for that. 8 into 3 doesn't go. So F equals 45 degrees. Just a quick recap. Remember, angles on a straight line add up to 180. And if it says calculate that or work out, that means you need to do the maths like we've just done. So on the easy example, it's really straightforward. All we had to do when we had one number is 180, subtract that angle there. Where we had two angles, we added them up first and then did 180, subtract the answer. Then I showed you a more challenging one where we took away this 90 degrees here, and then because we had three angles here that were all the same, to work out C, we divided by 3. Now, angles at a point, same method, we're just dealing with 360 degrees, and we, on easy one, we did 360 subtract 65, that was really straightforward. On this one, a bit like this one where we had two angles, we added these two angles up, and then we did 360 subtract the answer to give us angle E. And the last one, which was a bit like this one, we knew there were 8 letter F's, so we did 360 divided by 8 to tell us what F equaled.